Hello, this is Ian, Somerset News Network. I wasn't going to do a video today. I don't have anything to talk about. I know there's lots of things going on, but I got to get my teeth into something. It's got to be something that I think's important. I think we ought to talk about our new Home Secretary. She was the first Muslim lady to be elected as an MP to Parliament. She took the oath on the Quran. I thought we were a Christian country. Bill of Rights says you've got to take an oath to God, King and country, sort of thing. That aside, we now know through various news outlets that they're explaining that our new Home Secretary supports Gaza and other Muslim political groups, including Palestine Action. Now, Palestine Action is deemed a terrorist group, and it's been banned in Britain. Now, the lefty, wokey, communist Labour MPs are now lobbying our new Home Secretary, knowing that she supports them as well, to recategorise Palestinian action, basically to allow it. Over the weekend there was 890 arrests at a pro-Palestine action demonstration. What's our Home Secretary going to do? We stand back and we watch and we wait. Is she going to recategorise and allow Palestine Action to continue its terrorist threats against Britain and to terrorise the Londoners and the London Jews, by the way? They don't feel safe anymore. One of the things in the old Acts of Parliament is that you can come and go in peace. Peacefully come and go. That is the main role of the Home Secretary. If she backs Palestine Action, then she's going against her oath. That's my opinion. Oh, another bit I got to mention this. Lunchtime news. 500 migrants came in this country by lunchtime, and there's more on the way. So all this sending them back, and they're going to stop the boats, ain't working, is it? I know she's only been in the job for 3 days, but you expect things to change. If you say you're going to stop the boats, you expect them to stop the boats. I can't see any sign of that. We even sent a helicopter out, Air Sea Rescue out, to pick a group of people coming over on one of those dinghies that got into trouble. Why didn't we pick them up and take them straight back to France and drop them on the French coast? Why did they have to bring them here? It ain't rocket science. Why can't we turn the boats around in the channel and take them back to France? It ain't rocket science. Just a question of will. Just a question of doing it. not politicians with hot air. You know, oh, the Labour Party, the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, has resigned. Well, that means the post is left vacant. And the Labour Party have now got to have an election to elect the deputy leader. Now, the backbenchers in the Labour Party, the trendy, lefty, wokesy, communist types, don't like Starmer because they don't think that they're going to get voted in next time because Starmer's done such a bad job. Well, we all agree with that. Well, us ordinary people who've got common sense think that as well. So, a trendy, lefty, wokey lefties, they're trying to find a left-wing, woke Deputy Prime Minister that can go against Starmer. They want to take Starmer down. Now, who's it going to be? I don't know. There's a great big long list. Even Lucy Powell, who was the leader of the House that got the sack, is on the list. So I don't know who's going to win. But that's going to be an interesting one to watch. Oh, Talk TV this morning, while I was having my cornflakes. Talk TV are talking about the reshuffle and who's in place and it turns out that Starmer asked Miliband to step down from this net zero junk that he's doing. And then Miliband turned around to Starmer and said no. So he's still in place. And it turns out there's no mechanism that the Labour Party's got to get rid of him. You can't make this up, can you? Oh, it's just mind-boggling. What a way to run a country. We used to be one of the best countries in the world. We had troubles when we came out of the Second War because of the debt we were in. And we slowly paid that debt. In the 60s, we had the swinging 60s. We were making cars, engineering was going, and we were doing great. Now this country has turned back into what Napoleon called us, a bunch of shopkeepers. Hardly anything's made here now. You go and buy tools, they're all Chinese. Made in China it's got on it. Everything's made in China. We don't seem to do anything. And if you do anything, it's going to be done with Chinese kit. I use tungsten drills. They're Chinese. I use taps and dies. They're Chinese. I want cordless drills. Chinese. Why are we not making it? We have priced ourselves out of the market. Some of it is to do with health and safety. Yes, I agree with health and safety, but in some cases it's gone too far. We got the minimum wage. We got the most expensive electric in the world. You couldn't start a company up now unless you've got millions in backup. So nobody makes anything because they can get it cheaper from China. And the mad thing is, I used to go to the tool shop and buy tools. And taps and dies, right? Set of taps, set of 3 traps to thread steel. Always use them, always breaking them. They used to be 25 quid for a set of 3. And I thought, it's a lot of money. So anyway, I found a cheap tool shop down in Devon. And they're £17. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. So anyway, I'm buying stuff of something called Banggood, which is a Chinese company. I needed some cheap stuff. Didn't want to go out and spend any money. But it was postage free. And you had to have a certain amount of money to get it postage free. So I thought, buy some taps and dies. They were exactly the ones I was buying from the shop for 25 quid, and they were 8 quid. £8. Half the price of the tool shop in Devon. And way under the 25 quid I was paying in Bristol. Do you see why people shop online now? Now, I'll tell you a story. I was a manager of a gun shop, and we did barber clothing. And people would come in, and we'd find out which barber coat they wanted, what style, what size. And then they'd say, oh dear, I've forgotten me card, or I haven't got the cash. I'll come back. And you think, right, there's another coat. Oh, he'll be back in a minute. In 5 years earlier, in the 80s, they would have been back. But now, they're looking at the magazines, and they're finding the same thing for 20 quid cheaper. So they're buying it mail order. Today, when I worked in the gun shop in Cirencester 10 years ago, people would come in, have a look at the stuff, decide what they wanted, and then say, I'll be back for that. And I thought, that's strange. The same thing as what was happening when I was in Gibbs's. Next thing you know, you see them fishing on the lake with the new rod, which they were going to buy from me. They bought it online, cheaper. And this is what's happening. So retail is going down. We're not making anything because it's too expensive. And if we do make it, we've got to charge so much. So we got specialist companies, specialist engineering companies, that you can't buy stuff abroad that one size fits all sort of stuff. And they're doing well. They're maintaining. But companies can't get tool makers. I had 2 years out from the gun trade because the gun trade went flat as a pancake after Black Wednesday. I ended up as a civil servant and I did 2 years in engineering. I worked in a plant making car parts in Avonmouth. And they had tool makers that made the jigs to braze the car bits up. They couldn't find tool makers. Anyway, something happened and they needed somebody to do some machining. And the tool maker, who I knew, said, oh, Ian will do the machining for you. He can use a lathe. So Saturday and Sunday I went in. Time and a half Saturday, double time Sunday. And all I had to do was take these parts down that were too big. They'd been machined too big and they needed taking down. So I did it. Hundreds of them. And then something else happened. One of the tool makers got ill or got another job and he disappeared. Ian, will you work in the tool room? So I said, yeah, all right. So I went in the tool room. I said, oh, after 3 months, I said, you know, I'm now tool making. I want more money. And they said, oh no, we can't do that. You're not a qualified toolmaker. I said, yeah, but I'm a gunsmith. I'm a qualified engineer. Craft engineering, I called it. And the guy said, yeah, he's doing the same job as we have. And they refused me money, so I walked. I walked out the door. And that's when I became a civil servant. I had 6 months unemployed, and I then became a civil servant. But this is the way that life works. But it's gone now because we're not making anything. You know, we have to allow manufacturing to start so we can make things. We have to reduce the overheads of new companies so that at least they can get a start. And then not to, say they get 2 years free council tax, business tax for a new business. Say they have 2 years free. You then don't hit them with top rate tax. You vary it for the next couple of years so that it creeps up while the business is growing. And what's happening is businesses are going bankrupt right left to centre. You know, the other thing is, I think that VAT should be taken off of hot food. That would help the chippies out. That would help the pubs out. You know, why should you be paying a tax on an essential? Food is an essential. It was one of the fundamental things that we did. We did not tax food. Taxing hot food in restaurants was only done because of the EU. We can now take that off. And I hope Reform listens to this and makes it one of their policies. Anyway, Ian, I've said enough. There's such a lot I want to rant about. But that'll do for now. Bye-bye.